Welcome back. It is Monday. Jim Coyle with you. As always, Dustin Schutte with me from Outsider.com. And we're joined by Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com. Make sure you go there and sign up and get all of the coverage you can stand for Indiana, recruiting, news, football, basketball, whatever. That's the place to go, thehoosier.com. For certain. Not a lot going on over the weekend, but there's always something happening, Kyler. What is the latest? I know that a lot of guys that look good to land in Indiana ended up going other places, but the main guy, Arrington Page, is one that was probably the highest priority and is still that. But yet he has a visit coming up to Miami, I believe, later this month, which to me is a little scary because now anybody that goes to Miami is a potential loss because of they are really when Mr. What's his name, John Ruiz, he's got that unlimited checkbook, man, and Arrinten Page would be a perfect piece for Miami. They've already landed Nigel Pack. They have a good nucleus there, and adding an Arrington Page would be perfect for them as well. And boy, it's always a little scary when you know that someone's going to Miami with that guy that's got that big checkbook.
Yeah, that's definitely something to monitor. That visit's later this week. I believe it starts on the 25th and runs through the 27th. NIL is something to watch out in this situation. You know, we've seen what they've done with Nigel Peck. You know, it's always going to be scary when you get a guy that goes visits Miami. But from talking to a couple of people kind of around in his circle, I don't get the feeling that NIL is going to play a top priority factor in this. Indiana still sits in a very good spot. Other schools to watch out for are Cincinnati and USC and Missouri. But, you know, if they can get through, if Page can get through that Miami visit, and they don't give him like kind of what he's looking for and everything, I think Indiana sits as that top favorite to land him. But as far as, you know, the 23s, he's it right now. He's the guy that they're looking at. There could be somebody that pops up, you know, in the next few months that they could have interest in if they don't get Page. But other than Page, it's going to be probably the transfer portal that you'll see Indiana kind of be aggressive in when it comes to the 23 season.
Well, I was just
going to say, Dustin, I wonder how. I know certain probably schools are probably making it a part of the recruiting package is including, hey, here's what the NIL deal would be. I don't know that Indiana is doing that because it seems to be an after fact thing, but they're made aware of NIL is not an issue here. But I don't know how, and none of us know exactly how that works. And that's the key. Is Miami making the offer, the NIL offer in the package, and maybe Indiana is not? That's something I need to find, that I'm going to have to try to find out. Kyler?
No, yeah, I agree on that. And Dustin, I don't know, didn't want to cut you off there, what your point was going to be. So.
Oh no, I was just going to ask when you.
But I was talking about. Let's stick on what my point is, because that's huge for a Miami. If they're making that NIL a part of the package, say, hey, here's what in Indiana, and it comes later in Indiana. I don't know how that's happening. Is that potentially the case with Miami?
I mean, I think so with Miami. Obviously, you know, Mike Woodson stated before that if he's going to recruit you to come play for Indiana, not NIL, that's going to come secondary. Obviously, they're hand in hand with Hoosiers for Good right now. But, you know, Miami might have a different recruiting pitch, and I would be almost certain that NIL plays a big factor now in the recruiting. You saw what they did with Nigel Peck. That had to have been a big recruiting factor for him. And I'm sure they'll have the same kind of pitch with Page. And I don't know what their kind of front court situation is the next couple of years. That could be another thing to monitor. But I believe this is going to be the biggest competitor to Indiana. We'll just see how this Miami visit goes. I mean, if it doesn't go as well as what Page wanted, I think Indiana sits in a pretty good spot with getting him.
And Kyler, with with some of these other guys, Jamie Kaiser and some of the other guys not selecting Indiana, committing to other places, I'm not going to say that Indiana wasn't all in on Arrington Page from the beginning, but does this allow them to maybe go after him a little bit harder? Because, as you mentioned, now you may be looking at the transfer portal. Now maybe you're looking for kind of a diamond in the rough for that class. Do you think that they're going to continue to pitch harder, or have they already thrown everything that they're going to throw at him?
I think they've thrown a lot at him, but I also think they're going to throw up a little bit more with that. Like I mentioned it 3 times already, but yeah, the Miami visit's huge right now. It's going to, it determines on how he's going to, respond to that. And I think after the Miami visit, I think Indiana will reach out again. They'll continue to talk to him and everything. And, he's a very important piece. Indiana's going to be losing Race Thompson and Trace Jackson Davis next year. I mean, Arrington Page is the type of guy that could slide right in and play very meaningful minutes, along with Malik Renault and Jordan Geronimo. So he fits perfectly what Indiana needs. If they don't land him, Indiana's down to, Gabe Cupps and Ja'Kai Newton, who are 2 wings. They wouldn't find a forward unless they're going to look in the transfer portal, or they're going to find that diamond in the rough, like you just mentioned.
Well, if they don't get Arrington Page, I don't. There's no doubt that they have to go to the portal. I mean, this is a position they need to fill as they go forward, and they need to fill it now to have it there. I mean, you've got Malik Renault, and we don't know what Logan Duncombe is doing behind the scenes. So there's that question. And it's not that they need it for this upcoming season, but next season. And so there's nothing that says they can't continue to find that in recruiting. But like you said, the transfer portal always an option. And I'm surprised Indiana hasn't used that a little bit more. They seem really intent on recruiting guys that are going to be freshmen, which I am surprised. Like I said, they haven't recruited that guy that to really insert to propel the program.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this year they didn't really, have to, because, with Trace coming back, their scholarships are already filled up with those 4 freshmen coming in. First year, Mike Woodson hit it pretty hard, bringing in Miller Kopp, Xavier Johnson, Michael Duran, those guys. But like next year, it'll probably be where they have to. No matter, even if Page commits, they're probably going to have to find another forward. It just really depends on what Logan Duncombe's, if he's ready to play at that point or not. I mean,
and he's really not going to. That's not his position, really. I mean, he's more of Trace Jackson Davis, from what I remember of his game.
Yeah, he's definitely going to stick in the inside. He does actually have a really solid mid-range game that we've seen in high school from that, so he can stretch it to that extent. But the transfer portal is going to be big moving forward for Indiana. This year wasn't as big a need as what they needed. They got pretty much everybody back from last year, and they upgraded with 2 5-star freshmen coming in, and that really loaded freshman class. So obviously it wasn't a big thing that they needed to kind of engage with, but next year it'll be probably a very important piece for them as far as recruiting and how the 2023 season is going to play out.
Well, and with the transfer portal, the thing that's interesting to me is everybody, I don't know about everybody, but a lot of people think just go in and get a guy, just go and get that experience. First of all, just because a guy scores 14 points a game at one school doesn't mean he's going to jump in and automatically add 14 points. I mean, there's a lot of different factors involved there. But the thing that's interesting to me is finding that balance. Like Indiana right now knows what it needs for 2023, 24, 24, 25, on and on and on. So they can look at those pieces and see where they need to recruit. You really don't know what you need out of the transfer portal until the end of the season, when you might have some of those surprise guys hit the portal, or maybe there's a guy that you didn't think would come onto the market who decides he's going to leave his current program. So I don't know that people are panicking per se. I don't want to put that thought out there, but at the same time, I don't think that there's, as you mentioned, Kyler, I mean, they had plenty of guys coming back that you really didn't need to jump in the transfer portal. I don't look at this quote unquote inactiveness in the transfer portal this year as a sign that Indiana's not going to do it in the future. You have to have the right guy, and if the right guy's not out there, don't risk it.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. And it's not like, there were some guys this year that they kind of looked at that were in the transfer portal. But once Trace Jackson Davis came back, those scholarships are filled up. So
Right.
once that happened, it's like, okay, we're just gonna have to stick with our guys that we had last year.
So what's up next? It seems like where we are. It's kind of done with really recruiting, but not really, because you've got visits coming up for Hoosier Hysteria, which takes place in October, which is not as far away as one would think. What are we? I saw earlier we're like 79 days till college basketball starts. So getting guys in for Hoosier Hysteria is going to be very important. How many guys do they have lined up at the moment?
As far as I know, I think you got Harrelson and Sicily, and I think there's one other 2025 that's scheduled for Hoosier Hysteria. But I mean, as we get closer to that, they'll start racking up a lot more visits with that as well.
Yeah, that's always something fun and important, and probably getting more and more so as we get forward, because now when a guy gets here, they already know what they're going to be able to get. They know that Indiana is one of the leaders in NIL and this and that, because it doesn't really matter. We talk about NIL. I think that they know that Indiana is one of the leaders. The entire team is under the Hoosiers for good, minus one person, under the Hoosiers for good by themselves, with multiple other things out there and available. So that is not going to be a problem for any of the players when they come here. Then when you see Hoosier Hysteria and you see the craziness that is, that's getting back to what Indiana used to offer, I think.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's always going to be a hot spot for recruiting. I remember being young and going to the Tom Crean era type of Hoosier series. There was always the younger guys, and so you'll get the 2025s. You'll probably get I would say maybe up to like 7 or 8 of those type of guys there that they have interest in. May not have it offered yet, but you'll get those type of guys. Maybe some other local kids like Cannon Catchings would be a great piece for them to have there. Maybe they can get a Flory Bidunga as well, which would be
now that's gigantic right there, because that
yeah.
I think this guy is going to be. He's going to be a game changer in college. I really believe that. I mean, and but I think he needs to be on a good team. He's not going to carry a team because like right now, he reminds me of one of those kids in Little League that is just more physically mature than a lot of the other kids and kind of overpowers them now, but then they catch up to him later. Which Flory Bidunga is kind of a level above everybody else in high school right now. He's kind of unstoppable when he gets the ball down low, but that'll be different when you're in college, because you got a lot of other guys that are more athletic than what you've ever seen. Not that his talent is not good, but I wonder what it will be truly. But he is someone that, yeah, I think he's going to be much coveted by everybody in the state and around.
Yeah, and like I mentioned last week, his recruitment is going to remain a mystery for the foreseeable future. There is that language barrier there, so you just got to kind of watch out for that. I mean, but this summer he really broke out. High recruiting analysts saw him this year. I mean, super efficient around the basket. I mean, I would say probably 60% of his scoring is a dunk. That's just kind of what it is. I mean, very soft touch. Just
and that's exactly what I meant.
Yeah, and just incredible natural athletic ability there. So I mean, he's going to be very coveted, like you mentioned. There was that talk, where there's going to be like a school that was going to be certain to get him through his connections and stuff, but I don't think that's the case anymore, especially when you had Indiana, Purdue, and Michigan now in the mix right there offering him. I think something's kind of happened there. So he's going to be, when it comes to the 2024 class, like nationally, he's going to be one of the highest sought after recruits.
Yeah, without question, because he jumped up in the ratings quickly. What's new? What's going on that maybe the folks don't know about from the Hoosier.com?
So the big thing that happened this past weekend was 2024 power forward Riley Burgess was there, who's actually a teammate with Flory Bidunga on the Indiana Elite 16U squad. He was there for
when you say he was there, he was at Indiana.
Yes, he was on his second unofficial visit. He went on his first one back in June, where Indiana offered him. Talked to him on Friday. I mean, him and I were texting back and forth quite a bit. He said he really thinks highly of Indiana and the campus and the culture life there. He said, when it comes down to it, he thinks Indiana's going to be very high on his list of, when he can finally kind of cut those schools down the list. Purdue's offered him, Wisconsin, Iowa, Cincinnati's a big one. He's a local Cincinnati kid, so you always got to watch out for those. But another guy that's very efficient, that had a really good summer, and he's continued to improve his ability to stretch the floor. Big fan of his, and I think he could come in that 2024 class. I think he could fit right into Mike Woodson's system very easily.
And now, where is his need? Who is he going to fill now? Xavier Johnson would be gone in that case, but other than that, you've got CJ Gunn, you've got obviously Jalen Hood Schifino in there, as well as Trey Galloway. So where would he fit?
So he's a power forward. So he wouldn't, in that, he wouldn't have too much to do with the backcourt and everything.
You got Tamar Bates and Jordan Geronimo, and at that time, so hopefully you've got Geronimo that is really playing well. Tamar Bates, who should be playing well at that point. And so is that someone where he can back up?
Yeah, I don't think he would, he wouldn't be the type of guy that would start right away. And then like down the road, you got Logan Duncombe. It depends on, how he develops and everything. So it's a guy to watch out for, these next couple of years in that 2024 class. But I think Indiana is going to be very on top of him, at this point moving forward, considering he's already had 2 unofficial visits there.